Views and content expressed in the following program are not representative of ONTV or the Board of Directors. ONTV and its Board of Directors do not endorse the views, thoughts, or content of the following program.
Hello again, and welcome to Political Talk. I'm here with my partner again, Todd Schleiger, the same one that I had the last show. As a matter of fact, the last, I don't know how many shows. I don't know if he won't get rid of me or I won't get rid of him, or, you know, nobody.
Yeah, we're just stuck with each other for right now.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. But, you know, this is just no idiot boards, no cue cards, no teleprompters, just ad-lib conversation, which sometimes gets out of hand. Sometimes we even make sense. But the purpose of this show is just to make you think. We're not trying to tell you how to think. We're not trying to tell you what to think. We just want you to hear what we say. And if you agree with it, hey, fine. If you don't agree with it, that's fine too. But at least you're thinking for yourself. And that's the main thing.
That's the goal.
The last show we talked about different parties and different types of government. So I want to ask you, tell me a person throughout, since the country started, the Revolutionary War, whatever, you know, Mayflower, whatever. Tell me 3 politicians that you had the most respect for.
3 politicians that I had the most respect for.
Now, we only have an hour show, so, you know, think hard. Try to think fast.
Well, I had a lot of respect for John F. Kennedy, even though he was just a couple years before me, but from what I've learned of him and his policies, he made his share of mistakes as well. Ronald Reagan is another one. A third one, I really can't think of it, too many of them. I only have 2 that I actually look up to.
Okay.
Well, wait. I would actually throw Jesse Ventura in there as a third.
Why is Jesse Ventura?
Because I really like the independents. We have only one independent governor right now, which is the governor of Alaska. But their policy, I mean, when you look at John F. Kennedy, he was one of the most loved presidents that we've had, even though he was assassinated. But he had made cuts to the taxes in the system that were favorable to the people. Reagan, he made a bunch of cuts into the taxes as well, but I didn't agree with the trickle-down economics portion of it, because, I mean, I understand what the theory was for it, but it never works when you just cut taxes for corporations and for the wealthy, because all they do is hoard their money even more because they're getting more. I believe if you were to make tax cuts, you have to make it across the board. Flat taxes, what I aim towards, because they benefit the people as well as the corporations.
Well, the thing that I agree with you on some of your choices, or all of your choices. The Ronald Reagan, I believe, and having met the man 3 times, and for the time I was there, I was actually working for him. He genuinely cared about the people, Democrat, Republican. He didn't care what you were. He really didn't, because he was a Democrat at one time. He cared about you as the individual. Now, he made some hard decisions. I didn't always agree with his decisions, but I believe in his heart he thought he was doing the right thing.
Okay.
And just because I disagree with him doesn't mean that they were wrong. It's just a difference of opinion. But he genuinely cared. Jesse Ventura, I think, I agree with you, is another good one, because he would look at a problem from both sides and come up with the best of both, which our politicians today cannot do. They will actually allow a good idea to go down the drain and where the people would benefit from it, they will keep them from doing that because either they want to wait till they're in power or they disagree with it. And I'll go further into that down the road. But
it's no secret since we've been on the show, I've told everybody I'm an independent. You know, and I just paid attention. I didn't pay attention when I was choosing the politicians that you asked me to choose. But I just realized sitting here that John F. Kennedy was a Democrat, Ronald Reagan was a Republican, Jesse Ventura is an independent. So, you know, I guess in a way that's how I feel. You know, I mean, as a citizens of the state of Michigan and of the United States, you know, I'm a little bit of everything because they're all part of this country. But we've talked over and over through the shows, you know, and it's no secret how I feel, again, you know, how the two parties have lost touch with the people. So, well, I don't know. It's just, it just blows my mind on how far away from the people they really are.
For my three, I would have to go with Philip Hart, senator from Michigan. In researching his background, Philip Hart was loved and respected by both Democrats and Republicans. He was a Democrat, but the Republicans respected him too. When he spoke, they listened. In the research that I did, nothing crossed the threshold of his office that wasn't for the benefit of the people. Anything that came to him was not allowed.
Right.
And he was very adamant about that. He took a stand and he held it right to the day he died. And they respect him enough. The Hart building is named after him. And that, for all intents and purposes, is huge.
Right.
A second one, which might surprise you, is Dennis Archer.
Okay.
Dennis Archer took over a city in turmoil, and he brought it around. He brought respectability to Detroit. He carried himself very professional. He brought a lot of benefits to Detroit by the way he represented the people, and he was someone that you could look at and be proud of, whether you were Democrat or Republican. And from what I understand, he got kind of fed up. He tried and tried and tried. If you look at all the things that he did, if he had stayed probably 2, 3, maybe 4 more terms, where Detroit would be now. Although I do like Mike Duggan. I think Mike Duggan is in the same realm of Dennis Archer. Another one that I liked, and that I have another one that I respect, and then one that I want to throw in as an extra, as a bonus, and that was my third choice is Harry Truman. Truman was basically the common man. He didn't go to college. He fought and he earned everything he did. He took his failures like a man. He paid his debts, you know, when he did something wrong. When he was wrong, he admitted it. He fought for everybody. And that's one of the traits that I really see in a politician that I like. The bonus one for me was a guy named Phil Ruppe, as I've spoken before. He was a Republican in northern Michigan, and he talked to you. He didn't talk down to you. He didn't talk in the air. The politicians nowadays, when they're on camera, and I've seen this and I've experienced it many, many times, when they're on camera in the public eye, they're so friendly and they want to get to know you and shake your hand and, you know, do put the show on.
Right.
Then when the camera is off, they look down on you like, get away from me. And I've seen that many, many times. These politicians that we have now are very selfish and self-centered. I've named a lot of them, and I mean, I could go through the list again. We have the time, but you know, what I'd like to do is, the reason I brought up, pick out 3 that you respect is because there's not very many.
I'll give you that because, and you actually found politicians from Michigan. I had to go back and look at. This is really weird because generally you're the one that's out into the national policies, and I'm the one that's usually here for Michigan. I have not been happy with our politicians in Michigan in 40 years.
No.
It's steadily gotten worse.
No, I can't say that. We've had some good ones. They're few and far between, which is unfortunate. But there have been some good ones out there. If you want to bring up a federal one, which we've talked about before, if I had to, as I said, it's no secret you're an independent. I'm a very conservative Democrat. But there's one guy that I really liked. And to this day, I've gotten more and more respect for him, and that's John McCain. John McCain, some things that he voted on I disliked, and there were some things that he said. Now, you don't always agree with politicians.
No.
You'll never, ever. And you can take every president from start to finish, and not including the current regime.
Right.
Which is I'm hoping this is a one-shot deal.
Right.
Because what I've seen, and he's a catalyst in it, he's a big part of it, but he's not all of it.
Right.
But it's something that we've seen it was comical at first. It was like, man, did you see that? And then it got to be different, and then it got to be derogatory, then it got to be worrisome, but now it's scary.
Think about it. Nobody thought that man would win. He took out, 16 Republicans and all across the board there, and what we got with him, and this is I realize we've had what I'm going to call closet voters, but it took it to a completely new level with who we have in there now with President Trump. You had all these newspapers and polls saying that he was down 2, 5, even 12% below Hillary on all the polls. And he went through what they called the Rust Belt, which is in the Midwest here. And he won every one of those states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, and they never suspected him to win Ohio.
Okay. I know the debates that have gone on with the current investigation, and I believe, more and more and more how they get into it. Mm-hmm. It was fragmented at first.
Right.
And I remember hearing about it even before he ran, or before the election in November 8th. But you heard these things, but they were like, wow, that's it. You heard it, but you really couldn't believe it. But then as everything started to fall into place, now it's starting to look like it's true. The thing that bothers me is that nobody's alarmed about it.
What are you talking about?
The interference with Russia. Now,
we've said this before. I'm sure Russia did interfere to some extent, but at the same time, anytime we have an election over here, and even when other countries have elections, our president has interfered in their elections. Our president interfered with Canada's election, with Jason Trudeau. He interfered with the Brexit. He said more than likely if you exit the European Union, you'll have a harder time working with us. And then every time Russia has an election, the U.S. is involved in their election. It's all across the board.
Is true. That is true.
Granted, maybe Russia did help with WikiLeaks, but who put all that information into WikiLeaks?
Well, I think sooner or later it's going to come out. And if it does, whichever way it goes, one thing that we should do is take a look at what we have and what we're about to lose. Because our form of government, like Winston Churchill said, it's the best that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if we've already seen it implode with money. Money has denigrated our elections to the point that we don't know what's true and what isn't. You will hear commercials on that are so off the wall. They can't possibly be true, but yet somebody is paying for that to go out. Why? To influence you. Now, the only thing that I can think of is that we don't know how to think on our own. We don't know how to listen to facts and say, that sounds about right, or that doesn't sound. We will take the most bizarre thing. Now, example, 3 million illegal voters.
That is an overstretch.
30 is a lot.
Right.
They have documented one state with 12. And 12 is too many, no question.
Right.
30 million, or 3 million is quite hard to hide.
Well, I mean, we're talking nationwide, but the whole thing is, I
3
don't
million
even
is so
even
low.
believe in that. I mean, it's hard to believe that there would be that many.
The election didn't focus on how my life was going to be better. It focused on the individual.
Did it?
Yeah, the individual was important. I'm the greatest. I'm this. Well, wait a minute. I don't care what you are. I care about.
I didn't
my
see
kids.
that where you're talking about on that through the election. What I seen on the election was a bunch of racism and
Well, no, that's what I'm
and
saying.
hate across there, but it wasn't. I don't think it was personally.
They both promoted themselves. They said they were promoting the party, but they were promoting themselves. And they didn't offer, neither one offered anything that would make the people better, because some of the stuff that they said was just bizarre and couldn't happen.
I'll give you that one.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
For example, what's going on now. Now, this show probably will be later, but I don't think it's going to pass anytime soon. And this has been said before. If we do tax reform, the middle class is going to get more money. Well, they've already gone through and they've proven that. Even the Republicans have come out and finally said, well, we're not really sure that's all going to happen. But they've tried it before. The rich get richer. There's actually a billionaire's agenda that has been put out there. It's you can find it on the computer. It was through the History Channel. And whether it's 100% or not, it's something to think about. But the people with the money feel that they are entitled to determine how the country should run. And the parties, because of the amount of money that they collect, and we're talking billions. How much did they spend on the last presidential election? The last election in 2016. How much? I know it was in the billions.
I think it was somewhere near $3 billion, maybe more than that. Because I know there's a thing that Trump spent $500,000. Now this is just on advertising. From what I understand, he spent only $500,000, right around there, and Hillary spent 15 times more than that.
Yeah, but Trump was cooking the books. Because
it's not just cooking the books. It was the news media. He was no matter how you put it, he was a circus act.
Yeah,
they wanted to hear what they wanted to hear what come out of his mouth.
Well, he was saying, I paid for all of this, but what he did, he paid himself. And it was a little game. And for all the crooked things that have gone on in elections, that's one that I'm surprised that not one person has gone after. Having run for office, you have to fill out your paperwork.
Your tax form releases and stuff like that? Is that where you're going?
No, a statement of procedure. And that's not the correct term. I can't think of it, so try not to get old whenever you can. But
I know you have to fill out an affidavit of identity.
Yeah. And the thing is, he was putting his campaign office in his office building. So what he was doing was he was putting money in and paying himself. That would be the equivalent of me saying that my house is going to be my campaign office, and I'm going to collect money and I'm going to pay myself. So if I collect, let's say I collect $3,000, I'm going to pay myself $2,500 for the use of my house as my campaign office.
Which is completely legal. It's the same as running a business out of your home. But
Okay.
but there's a certain cost that, I mean, there's a certain percentage that once you go over could be construed as.
He went over, and he knew it. He's done a lot of things, and Hillary's done a lot of things that the people should be outraged at.
And by the way, I'm not standing up for Trump.
I'm not saying that for Hillary.
Okay. I'm just saying.
I'm saying that our government was supposed to be fair. It was supposed to be trustworthy. You know, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and hopefully they don't bleep it out. If Trump told me my ass was on fire, I'd ask somebody else.
Just to be sure, huh?
I don't-
Not care about the heat that you're feeling.
I don't trust him. I don't. There's very few I trust, which is why I asked you to pick up the three. You know, and it's so hard because for all the politicians that are out there, and it's hard to think of three that you could have that much respect for, which says something for the people that are in there. What really bothers me to no end is people see this. Now today, I know again the timing of it, the shooting that happened in
Las
Nevada.
Vegas.
And a follower of the current regime made the comment in front of a group of us that, see, if everybody had a gun, that wouldn't have happened. And I'm thinking, now wait a minute. Now after I heard the details, the guy was a good distance away.
Yeah.
So everybody having a gun, and as I'm listening to this on the radio, I'm coming down Baldwin, and one driver cut off another one, and he gave him an East Side sign.
Yeah. Okay.
Grosse
Yeah.
Pointe. And I was thinking, damn, if that guy had a gun, what would he have done? The point is that we don't even talk logically anymore because of the divisiveness.
Well, on the one statement about if everybody had a gun, you can point towards Texas. Their crime rate has dropped, but in this situation, it wouldn't have done
Dropped
a damn
from
thing.
what?
Their gun crime has dropped.
From what?
Well,
What are the figures?
it's only dropped like 8%, but even 1% is a
What
drop.
was it?
It was at one point. It was up as high as 22%.
Okay. And how many people?
I don't know the population of
The
Texas.
reason I say that is because the higher the population, the more crimes there are. You know, numbers are a very funny thing.
They can be swayed. You could put that same number into another category, and it rises dramatically or drops dramatically.
Yeah.
I know.
Numbers are
Statistics
a
are a
tricky thing
bad
because,
way to go.
Well, people know how to manipulate them.
Yes.
And, you know, the point is that we need to really back off, think things through thoroughly.
Yeah.
A politician now, I think, is somebody that if you are a representative, that's exactly what you should do. But they don't represent. In my opinion,
I agree with you on that, because a lot of times what they're doing is they're interjecting their own beliefs.
Yeah.
They're interjecting what they think would be better. But again, they have large donors behind them that they're also thinking about. They're not thinking about their constituency, at least in my opinion.
Now again, having run, I found that out. I saw that.
Right.
I saw candidates that went against what they believed in because the money that they were getting kept them in.
Well, your last election, you had the Democratic Party ask you to bow out for another woman, if I remember right,
Yeah.
Kathleen something or Catherine something.
Because she said she had a lot of donors and a lot of money coming in.
Right.
And they called me up. Now, they had no candidate. And this is a district, it's an 80-20.
Mm-hmm.
And
By the way, that means 80% Republican and 20% Democrat.
and the state rep in this area at that time told me, this is Brad Jacobson talking of Jacobson Flowers.
Oh, yeah.
He said to me, I don't know why you run. You're just wasting your time. We own these people.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, after in 2018, I will take over as state senator.
Yeah, he was going to take Marlow's position.
Now, he was, in these 2 years that he's off, in between waiting to take over.
Got a nice cushy job now.
Yeah. He did his job by doing what the Republican Party told him to do. He did not vote for the people of the district. Now, they did get the residual off of it. He voted for his self-interest and for the party to keep him in office. Now, what he got from that, and he knew it. He knew because he told me he was going to get something.
Yep.
He got a job on the Liquor Control Commission, which pays extremely well and not much work to do.
Pays better than his state representative
So basically,
salary.
the taxpayers in this district have subsidized his business.
Yep.
Okay. Now,
But he's also one of those, the only time you could ever get to speak to him is if you caught him at one of his flower shops.
oh, a lot
That
of
was the
people did.
only way to do it.
Oh no, he's not the only one because
I didn't say he was the
I
only
ran
one,
against the
but
guy in
I said he was one of them.
Yeah, I ran against a guy in Detroit, Ted Wallace, who didn't even live in his district. He lived over on the west side, yet he represented an east side district.
Right.
And he clearly broke the law, but yet he found a way, a loophole of getting it done.
What do you think about this, now that you brought up Detroit down there, what do you think about Virgil Smith?
Virgil Smith should be out of politics.
But
he's going to win.
He's going to win.
He's going to win.
Even though he had to resign from his position for, if I remember right, shooting up his wife's car.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that really bothers me with this is we see these people are, okay, people make mistakes, no question about it, but there's people that, a mistake is something that happened that you didn't intentionally do.
Right.
But the stuff that they're doing now is malicious. They fully intended to do it. Now, an issue that came up, and then we're kind of going back and forth on a lot of issues. But here's an example: Tom Price had a lot of shady deals going when he was in Congress.
Okay.
And people knew about him. It was not hidden. Everybody knew, and they brought it out. And he denied it, but if you looked at all the facts and saw the timeline and everything they did, you could see what he was doing.
Right.
So he got in and he abused his power, what made it so bad was he was the one, do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
Everybody else, you're all wrong. But when I do it, it's okay, just so you know. And he spent over $1 million, allegedly. I'm saying allegedly. I'm giving him benefit of the doubt. But then, supposedly Trump fired him. And a lot of the announcers said, Tom Price spent all this money, have the taxpayers, this was their money, and he spent it for his own personal use, as did some others who went with him. But then Trump spent $30 million going from Washington to Mar-a-Lago. It has now been proven that he was conducting business other than what his job was. Okay? It has also been talked about that the damage to Mar-a-Lago will be repaired by the taxpayer. Isn't that nice?
I didn't hear that, but okay.
Yeah, that has come out. He also allocated $120 million to the state of New York, taxpayer money, to repay them for the protection for his building and his significant other. And I say that because the background right now isn't too good for him. Apparently, it's a contract. But then he also depleted the Secret Service budget. Now, if that ain't pot calling the kettle black, I don't know what is. How can you stand there and say, Tom Price, don't do this, and you're worse? You know who's a loser here?
The taxpayers.
The taxpayer.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things he's doing that should be questioned, or even, I don't understand. At one point they were talking about Mar-a-Lago being the southern White House.
The Winter White House.
Winter White House. Okay, that's
Well,
what it was.
the reason I bring this up, and I want to tie it into the tax thing. He says that if the tax thing passes, he will not benefit. Well, it's already proven that he will benefit.
Anytime there's any tax restructuring or tax cuts, the wealthy do
Yeah,
profit. There's
but-
no way of getting around it.
The thing is, they have brought out that the middle class actually is going to see a tax increase. But another thing that they brought out was, well, if the rich get richer, that they're going to invest in the country and everybody's going to get better wages and more jobs.
That's exactly what trickle-down economics was all about.
Now, the reason I say this is because Murray Feldman, who used to be on Channel 2,
Right.
he came out and he said that the increase in wages over the last 10 years has amounted to everybody being able to buy lunch once a week.
Right.
And the reason I say this is all this money being spent, all these tax cuts coming, and the average person, I'll be generous, the 85% of the population is not going to benefit. And they're taking their money right now and wasting it. And nobody's up in arms about it.
I'm at a loss for words here, which is unusual. But the whole thing is, I don't think anybody, no matter how you look at it right now at this point, nobody knows what to think of him.
Okay, let's take a couple other things. Houston, Florida.
Okay.
He was down there because that was red country. Puerto Rico, yesterday he said that they were ingrates.
I didn't
That
hear
is, I've been to Puerto Rico. Puerto
Right.
Rico is not only a U.S. territory.
Right.
Since Woodrow Wilson, they have been part of the United States. Even though
Correct.
it is a contract that's renewed every year.
Right.
That is a strategic, as is Guam and the Virgin Islands and all of that. Those are strategic areas. They do belong to us.
As territories, yes.
And those are Americans down there.
Yes.
So to say that is just beyond reason. But then you're still pushing this wall. Now, there are people out there that are starving, that are hurting. I mean, imagine yourself, and it's kind of hard to do up here, but imagine going through that and you go back to what was your home and the slab might be there. And FEMA is going to give you $33,000. Well, we all know that $33,000 might get you a pup tent.
Right.
You know, but it's not going to get you a pup tent with running water. You're still going to have buy a two-holer.
But I'm also one of these people, and you know, I don't. It doesn't matter what people think of me on this portion of it, but I'm also one of these people that believe that if you continually build into a hurricane area, you know, why should the taxpayers pay for rebuilding?
And that's a good point, but a disaster is a disaster. We could have a disaster up here. We had one back in 2003 with that ice storm. That ice storm caused a lot of damage, and we lived through it.
Nothing like what they're going through down there.
No,
this
no.
is, you know, that's just like, you know, when I went and got or when I switched my homeowner's insurance, you know, the insurance company told me I need flood insurance. I said, why? I don't live in a floodplain. You know, this is what I'm getting at, though. You go, and a lot of insurance companies will not, and this is in Florida and California as well, insurance companies will not give you hurricane coverage. And if they do, it's at such a high price, you know, well, you know, you're in a hurricane area. That's why there's signs out there that say hurricane evacuation route. You know, being in the transportation industry like I've went down, I was at Hurricane Andrew. I was down there. I brought a semi-load of water down there to Florida. I was in Hurricane Katrina. I was down there in Beaumont, Texas with water again, because during that time when this was all going on, I got involved with hurricane relief. And I mean, I used my truck and trailer and and took loads of water down there. But the whole thing is, what I can't figure out, they say, well, we only have storms like this every 25 years. It's not the point that you have them every 25 years. The point is, they're there.
Yeah, but I'm going to ask you something. This is the first time I've ever heard you talk about that. Okay, now I want to ask you, who thanked you? Anybody?
Not one person.
No. But
I didn't ask for thanks, though, either.
No. The thing is that the leaders are, and I go for, when I say leaders, I'm going for both parties. Mm-hmm. The empathy, it just burns me because we keep hearing our prayers or whatever. I don't believe half of them could say a prayer.
I'll give you that one.
And God knows crap.
Yes, He
when
does.
He hears it.
Yes, He
so
does.
I wish they'd stop that, because I would wager to say they haven't said a prayer in years, except when it was just before election time. But the empathy down there, it isn't that. It's all self-serving. Mm-hmm. It's all the Democrats did this and the Republicans did this and the president did this. And see, I'm so great. Look at how great this is. But
it's all a show.
But you look at the people that are there, and I saw on TV, and I was really, they can say whatever they want, this crap about fake news. Mm-hmm. There were people down there that were walking through water to help get people out of their homes, mm-hmm. the women in wheelchairs and the elderly out of there. Those are the heroes.
Yes. First responders, I give all the credit to on that as well.
But even the ones that shared their food mm-hmm. and shared their water, mm-hmm. That is America.
Yes.
Not these jokers that are running around telling you how great they are.
Right. I agree with you on that.
And it's a damn shame that we keep hearing about this wall and about, the rich should get this and the poor should get this and all these things that right now there are people that are suffering down there. And it could be us tomorrow.
Well, at least not from a hurricane anyway.
No, but it could, for any reason, any one of us.
Right.
We need pie in the sky, if I were king of the world, if everybody just looked out for each other. We don't always have to agree, but I mean, if we sat down and you and I have sat at this table, I don't know how many times have we thrown around ideas. Sometimes they've gotten loud, sometimes words came out that shouldn't. But I got to take credit for that. But we're able to come to terms on something where maybe we both give a little and listen, and you have a good point that, yes, that makes sense. I didn't quite see it that way.
Right.
But as a representative, you represent your district. Mm-hmm. Okay, but they don't do that. They represent the party. They represent themselves. And the thing is, for me, when I was running, it was the district. For me, there was nothing I wanted. I've got more in my life now than I will have enough life to deal with.
Right.
But to see other people, and I love to talk to them and hear what they have to say, because there's ideas out there. These are very smart people in every district. And it doesn't matter what district you're in. The people know their environment. They know their lives. They know what they can do if given the opportunity. And that's rich and poor.
Correct.
And yet we don't.
But they utilize common sense, where politicians don't. I've said that hundreds of times.
I've listened to politicians say things in the abstract, or in a generalization that couldn't be done in any way, shape, or form. Now, I think what they currently did was a lot of politicians now do not listen, don't even go in their district.
Right.
I mean, ours is on his way down to Florida. I'm wondering if he's going to get flood insurance and hurricane insurance. Maybe he can get some up here and take it down there with him. I don't know.
Well, look at it this way. Oh, now you made me. I was thinking when you said Jim Marleau in there, I lost my train of thought on that one.
The reason I'm saying that is the fact that they didn't listen to anyone.
Right.
And all of a sudden, here comes this joker who regurgitates, and the hate that had built up in them, the disenfranchised feelings that they had, he played on them. And he told them what they wanted to hear. And for the first time, somebody not only listened to them, but expressed their emotions out. And they said, he's for me. Now the thing is, they all do it. They pick an enemy. And that enemy, if you elect him, your life is over. Well, your life won't be over. And our life won't be over with this guy.
No.
However, it might not be as good. Now, you know what bothers me? Is it could be, because I know, and I'll speak for myself, I know my house. I know my job. I know what I have in life. I know what I pay. I live check to check. I have kids. My kids go to school. I want them to have a good life. You know, we all share a commonality on a lot of things. And I believe we all want to do better. They should be enhancing our ability to do better, but they're not. They're helping.
I would say they should be opening opportunities. I
That
don't
too.
want them. I
That
don't
too.
believe they should be enhancing any of our.
Well, I'll say this. The insurance is a good one. We all need insurance, no question. But on one side, you have the Obamacare, which did help a lot of people. Was it perfect? No, it had flaws. But then we have on the other side now, put it back into the open market. Well, if you put it back into the open market, it's not quite going to work either, because somebody's going to lose. There's going to be some people that are disenfranchised. Now, where you say, or where, not you, where they say that Obamacare is an absolute disaster and everybody is losing from it, that's not entirely true. And if you go to the open market, everyone's going to be priced out of the market and they're not going to get the full insurance, and that's not entirely true. However, somewhere in the middle, something could work. Would it be perfect? No. Would it be better than what's going on now? I think so.
In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, the ACA, or Obamacare as you call it, the best thing that happened with it was that it took away pre-existing. Okay. It didn't help, well, temporarily it helped people get insurance. The problem with it was it wasn't lasting. And I don't believe the rest of the country should be paying for other people's health insurance.
I agree with that to a point. The fact is that we were doing it anyway, because
yes and no, but the thing that I'm getting at is the taxpayer was paying, you know, they said that, if I remember right, they said it added 30 million people to the insurance rolls. The only people that were benefiting out of all this was the insurance companies.
well, I'm going to say something about that. The insurance companies before this, and even to this day, are not there to lose money. Like you said.
No business is.
Like you said, if you go down to Florida, they won't sell you hurricane insurance because they're not going to lose money. They know that a hurricane's going to come. But the point is that even Obama said it's not perfect.
Right.
If they could have sat down and said, okay, well, what's not perfect about it? Let me tell you a sad story. And this happened many years ago when the Brooklyn Bridge was built.
Okay, that is many years ago.
And the guy who designed it, he had all his people there, and they all looked at the plans, and this is a true story. And they looked at the project, and they said, okay, what do you think? So everybody voted, oh, this is great. This is perfect. That's bridge is going to last forever. The next day, they came back. Person in charge, same guy, said, okay, I want you to look at this plan again. Everyone likes it? Oh, yeah, 100%. Everyone voted yes. And then he said, okay, now, I want you to tell me what's wrong with it. And they stood there. And it took a little while, and then finally one said, well, maybe if we make this a little bit stronger. And then others came in, make a long story short. The point was, they took something, they made it good. They stepped back and they looked at it. Now what he did, I put into practice.
Right.
And it does work, because what you've done is you tell people, okay, let's look at this, how can we make it better? But that's not what we do now. What we do is we destroy, we punish, we are divisive to where people cannot even speak to one another, and that's not. Because remember this, if it's of the people, by the people, for the people, if the people are hateful and divisive, if they cannot talk to each other, if they cannot cooperate,
Right.
then that whole theory will implode. And we will go into what we had before. Now, our government now is starting to look like that, where we have a demagogue, somebody who, my way or the highway, praise me, I'm always right, I have enemies.
But
President.
no matter what you're getting at over there, that does not, no matter what that man does, again, if the people in their state are strong enough and willing to stand up for what's right in their state, it doesn't matter what he does.
But they don't.
No, because they look for
don't.
leaders.
The thing about this one is he's so open and free with it. Now, others were like that. I mean, Johnson was like that. Johnson was a demagogue.
No, he
in
was
his own
free
way.
with a lot of things.
Yeah, he was. But I mean, the point was, it was kind of unseen. Nixon, it started to come out with him, and then Gerald Ford came in, and Gerald Ford, he put it back closer to the way it should be. I mean, each one of these people, Jimmy Carter, he brought the goodness to it, but not in Washington.
Right.
Bring the goodness. He's been a great ex-president. He's been a very helpful.
He's been a good
ex-president.
ambassador for the United States.
Ronald Reagan. He made people feel good, even if you didn't like him. He still, you knew he did represent you. He represented America as a whole. America was the thing. It wasn't him, it was America.
Right.
And he was one. He was a leader in that respect. George Herbert Walker Bush, I liked him, but he forgot his own country. He forgot. Had he done a little bit more to the economics. Now, in fairness to him, he was coming in just into the computer age, and things were changing.
Right.
I mean, it was another generation. And Clinton, when he came in, he got in the middle of it, and all these, this was new. I mean, Apple and all these, they shot through the roof. Who could have seen that coming?
Only thing I can say good about Bill Clinton was he's the only president that's ever balanced our budget.
He left him in good shape.
Yep.
Now, was he a great president?
I won't
That's
go that
debatable.
far. I won't go that far.
It's debatable. He did some good things, but all of them do.
Right. They have a little good in all of them.
I look at myself and how am I saying this? If I had my choice right now, I'd rather have George Walker Bush. I'd rather have him. If it was,
Well, then who we have?
yeah.
Again, I'm not going to stand
I'm
up
talking
for.
present time. Present time.
I still, and I've said it before, I still don't know what to think of him.
Well, they say, people, oh, you just hate Trump. Well, that's true. I don't hate the Republicans, but that man, yes.
Don't hate him, but I don't know how to take him. I don't know.
I don't think he's for the people.
Well, I don't know that either. I see he's standing up for our country at times, but some of it you can turn around and look at it and say he may be provoking. I'm talking about North Korea right now, but I mean, I don't know what to even think of on it. I mean,
you brought
I still
up North
think
Korea, so I'm gonna you started it, so I'll finish it. During World War II, the emperor was considered a god,
Right.
which I don't know if today they still feel that way.
the Eastern countries over there, their emperors are their god.
The culture is way different. That's something that I found when I worked on the ships, that Americans were always put down as lazy and didn't want to work and just wanted money. Well, that's not entirely true. We just have a different mindset. You know, and as I've said before, in Europe and in Asia, people, and Africa too, people live to work. They are what they do.
Okay.
Okay. If like in my profession as a chef, I'm not David Lawless. I'm Dave the chef, and that's how they live. In America, we work to live. We want the nicest home, even though we can't afford it.
Right.
Oh, we definitely want the best car, which comes with a hefty insurance price. And you know, you go into the gas tank.
Only in Michigan.
Yeah, well, you go in to fill up the gas tank, and you got to make payments on it. But we want the best. Now, are we lazy? No, because a lot of Americans work very hard to get what they have.
Correct.
So I've seen both on both sides, and Americans are not lazy by any stretch. It's just what we work for. Now, having said that, my point was the Asian culture is, they take that literally. If they fail at their job, they lose face. Okay, so what they've done is, you know, in order not to lose face, they will do 10 times more work. All right, now he's pushing. This man in North Korea is considered a god.
To his people, yes.
The majority of his people probably hate his guts. I would like to see him taken out, but they don't say anything. The military is behind him 100%, and they will lay down their life and go wherever it is they go. But they will, if you push him, he's not going to back down. He's going to do something. Keep pushing, keep pushing. He cannot back down, because if he is, that impression of being
weakness.
a god. Yeah. So.
But I think we also have a president like that right now, though, too.
But see, the thing is, the ones that are going to lose, you are actually putting people's lives in danger when you do that, and you can't. Unfortunately, we have
run out of time.
We are running out of time. We have a couple of minutes, and what I'd like to do, and I'm sure you'll share this sentiment with me, is our director will be leaving. His name is John Atwood, and John has believed in us and inspired us, and has helped this show come to where it is, which we don't know where it is, but it's somewhere. But without John, we couldn't have made it, and we want to thank him.
He'll be missed.
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the quality of this show, everything that we've done, is due to what he has inspired us to do, and you couldn't ask for someone better. He works with us. He helps us schedule it, and we're gonna miss you, John. The people to where you're going are going to be so much better, and it's unfortunately we're going to try to keep up the standards. So, thank you very much, and you know, we wish you the best luck, and wish you were staying here. But what are you going to do?
Man, you never knock a man for doing something that he chooses to do different.
No, but he's one of those people that worked his way up, and he's earned a higher place, and we're happy for him. We're going to miss him, but we're happy for him. So, goodbye to John. Goodbye to you.
Yes, sir.
You're still stuck with me, and that's unfortunate. But
we'll deal with it as it comes along.
Okay. Well, thank you again for tuning in, and we hope we helped you to think of more. We'd love to have you hear your opinion. So if you see us on the street, if instead of throwing a stone, just say, you know, can you talk about this, or shut up about that, whatever the case may be.
Heck, maybe we'll even get an audience in here, and that way you can ask questions that way.
Yeah, we'd like to hear what you have to say. It's very important.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, John. And we'll see you next time on Political Talk.
Views and content expressed in the previous program are not representative of ONTV or the Board of Directors. ONTV and its Board of Directors do not endorse the views, thoughts, or content of the previous program.